This is a video recording of the prep test for indices. Okay. Looking at the first question, question 1, the multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 and 28. So these are the times tables basically for 4. So the first 4 multiples of 5 would be 5 because 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 4 is 20, etc., etc. Now the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5, well, 4 and 5, they both have multiples of 20. So, and that's the lowest. There are no other, like 15, 10 and 5 aren't in the multiples of 4. So the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20. Now for question 2. The factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3 and 6 because 1 times 6 is 6 and 2 times 3 is 6. The factors of 15, well 1 and its partner is 15. 2 is not a factor, 3 is a factor of 15 and its partner is 5. That's because 1 times 15 is 15 and 3 times 5 is 15. So now the common factors are 1, 3. They are the common factors, but the highest common factor is 3. Okay, now for the next question. Decide if the following are prime or composite. Prime numbers have factors of only 1 and itself. However, 8 has factors of 1 and 8, and it also has factors of 2 times 4. Now, because it's got more than just the 2 factors, it's composite. 17 has only factors 1 and 17, so it's called a prime number because it's only got 2 factors, 1 and itself. 1 is a special number because only 1 times 1 is 1. 1 does not have 2 factors, it's only got 1 factor, so it's neither prime nor composite. Now the next composite odd number after 20, well I'm going to write down all the composite numbers after 20, they're after 19, so 20 is composite because 4 times 5 is 20 and 2 times 10 is 20. 21 is also composite because 7 times 3 is 21. So therefore 21 is an odd composite number. 20 is not. It's composite but it's not odd. So 20 is not odd. So the answer to this is 21. Writing these in index notation, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 2 to the power of 4, 13 to the power of 3, 8 squared is written as 8 with a power of 2, and 7 cubed is written as a 7 with a power of 3. Question 6, write the following using the correct mathematical notation and evaluate. Square root of 25, that's the symbol for square root, so square root of 25. Now remember square root is the opposite of squaring, so something squared is 25, and we know that 5 squared is 25 because 5 times 5 is 25, therefore the square root of 25 is 5. Now the cubed root of 8 is written like that, a little cubed root of 8. So we have to know what number times itself 3 times gives me 8. Now we know that 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So in other words, 2 cubed is 8, so therefore the cubed root of 8 is 2. And here we knew that 5 times 5 was 25, or 5 squared was 25. That's why the square root of 25 is 5. Now the next square number in this sequence, 1 is a square number because 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 2, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36. We know that 7 squared is 49, so the next square number there is 49. In question 8, which of the following is divisible by 3, 5 and 10? Now a number is divisible by 10 if it ends in 0, so these are all divisible by 10. They're also all divisible by 5. I mean this one is as well, 405 is, but it's not divisible by 10, so we don't include it. So these are all divisible by 10 and by 5. Okay, now we need to see which ones are divisible by 3. So to be divisible by 3, the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So let's add up these digits. 3 plus 5 is 8. You can't divide 8 by 3. 3 plus 6 plus 0 is 9. 9 is divisible by 3 because 9 divided by 3 is 3. And this one, 5 plus 3 plus 0 is 8. That is not, 8 is not divisible by 3. Now in the next question, find the missing power or index. We know that 3 times 3 is 9, times another 3 is 27. And that happens to be 3 cubed. So 3 cubed is 27. So that missing power, the answer of the question mark, so that question mark there is 3. So it's really 3 cubed is 27. Now, if 12 squared is 144, which means 12 times 12 is 144, remembering that the square root is the opposite of squaring, so therefore the square root of 144 is 12. Evaluating the following, question 11. Negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2. Now we know that a negative times a negative is a positive. So you can think of it like this, negative times negative gives us a positive, so it's positive 4. With the next question, negative 2 cubed is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Now just think of it like this, a negative times a negative, because two negatives make a positive, negative times a negative times another negative. I'm finishing on a negative, so that's negative 8. In the next question, 3 squared we know is 9 and 4 squared is 16, so 9 plus 16 is 25. And in the last question, I'm just going to work out what these are. 4 squared is 16 plus 2 times 5 squared is 25. Now using our order of operations, we have to do the multiplication before addition or subtraction. So it becomes 16 plus 2 times 25 is 50. So 16 plus 50 is 66. Now in the next question, we're completing a factor tree. So 350 is 35 times 10. Now 35 is 5 times 7 and 10 is 2 times 5. So therefore to write 350 as a product of its prime factors, it's where all of this ends, and we would get 5 times 7 times 2 times 5, or we can write them in order as 2 times, now we know we've got 5 times 5, which is 5 squared, times 7. Now with the next question. The square root, so we've got if 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 64, find the square root of 64. Now the square root of 64 has to be one number, so I've got these. For square root, it's the opposite of squared. So I need a number times itself is 64. Now I've got 6 numbers here, so I'm going to put 3, I'm going to halve them. 3 in one group and 3 in the other group. So I know that 8, this 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 8 is 64. Therefore, the square root of 64 is 8. Now, with cube root of 64, I need 3 numbers multiplied by each other to give me 64. So I can break this up into 3 equal groups. So I've got 2 times 2 is 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. Remember, cube root is the opposite of cube. Now, because 4 cubed is 64, then the cube root of 64 is 4. Now, the next question, between which two numbers does the square root of 15 lie? Now, you should know your square roots off by heart. We know, for example, square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 means what times what is 4? It's 2 times 2 is 4. The square root of 9, because 3 squared is 9, then the square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 16, I know that 4 times 4 is 16, or 4 squared is 16, so the square root of 16 is 4. Now we can see that square root of 15 lies between square root of 9 and square root of 16. So because square root of 9 is 3, so I've got square root of 9 equals 3, and the square root of 16 is 4, then the square root of 15 is somewhere in between 3 and 4. So the answer here is D. And last question here, write true or false. 2 times 3 squared equals 2 squared times 3 squared. We're looking at our left-hand side. 2 times 3 is 6, so 6 squared. And if we work out what that is, it's 36. So that's working out that left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, 2 squared is 4 times 3 squared is 9. And 4 times 9 is also 36. Therefore, this is true because that left-hand side equals the right-hand side. Let's look at the next one. Square root of 9 times 4. Now, I need to do 9 times 4 first. That's square root of 36. Now, the square root of 36 is 6 because 6 times 6 is 36. Now, looking at this other side, the square root of 9 is 3 times the square root of 4 is 2. That's because 3 squared is 9 and 2 squared is 4. And 3 times 2 is also 6. So therefore this is also true because the left-hand side equals 6 and so does the right-hand side. And now with the last question, square root of 16 plus 9. Now that's 16 plus 9 is 25 and the square root of 25 is 5. And with this other one over here, the square root of 16 is 4. And the square root of the square root of 16 is an ordinary 4. And the square root of 9 is 3. And 4 plus 3 happens to be 7. So, therefore, 5 does not equal 7. This one is false. At the calculator section, sorry about that bright light. I'll try and do it without having it all over the place. 13 squared. So we just enter the number 13. You know how to enter 13 on your calculator. So 13. And squared is this button here with the x squared on it. So, sorry, I better just do that again. 13. Here's my squared button there. So you can see on the screen you get 13 squared equals 169. Now for 9 cubed, you just press the number 9. And now I'm looking for the cubed button. And just looking for that, seeing where that is. I think it's here. So here it's a bit hard to see, but actually you can see it there. This is x cubed in orange just there. So to get that orange button, I need to press second function, that orange button, to give me 9 cubed. And you can see you've got 9 cubed there. Okay, so I've got 9 cubed, and that equals 729. The next one, 0.1 squared, is just done as an ordinary thing. 0.1 you can see on my screen, and we just press the x squared button, which is just there. So 0.1 squared is 1 over 100, or I can press the change button here to 0.01. Okay? Now the square root button on your calculator, you can just see it there. You just use it as normal. So square root, and then you just enter your number 121 and press equals, and you get 11. Now cubed root of 125, looking for that cubed root button, and it's this little orange one here on top. So it's this one here. So to access that, it's on top of that square root. You have to press second function. So I've got second function, that square root button, and look on your screen, you can see cubed root. Cubed root of, just press 125 and equals, and you get 5. And with the last one, square root of 188, it's just your square root button, 188 equals 13.711 will do. You don't have to add, just put dots at the end. 13.711 and just with some dots on the end. Okay. Just trying to move that light out of the way. Okay, let's keep going down here. And we've got cubed root of 1000 divided by square root of 25. So you can do, to do your cube root, remember, your cube root button is there, so you have to press second function. So second function cube root, and you can see cube root of 1000. Now you need to press this white arrow across. You can see how it's beeping, where you're flashing sort of underneath that square root sign. I need to press that white arrow across to get out of the square root. So I've got cubed root of 1000 and now divided by square root of 25. So just press your divide button and just your ordinary square root 25, and you can press equals and you get 2. With the next one, it's the square root of 2 squared plus 3 squared. Now just making sure that what you get on your screen looks exactly like that. So I'm going square root. I'm still underneath the square root sign, so that's fine. I'm pressing 2. Then I'm going to press the x squared button here. I'm still under the square root sign, so that's good. So plus 3 and the squared sign there as well. And it's all underneath the square root sign. I can press this white arrow just to get out of the square root sign. It looks exactly the same as what the question is, so I'm just going to press equals, and I get 3.6055, or lots of 5s. So I'm just going to put 5 ... The next one is the cubed root of 40 divided by 5. So again, that cubed root button is just there. So we go second function cubed root. And then we want 40 and divided by 5. As long as it's all under the square root sign like it looks in the question, it has to look exactly like that, and that's fine. And we get that that's 2. Because what it's doing, 40 divided by 5 is 8. Cubed root of 8 is 2. Now, with the next one, you just enter it exactly as you see it on your calculator. So we've just got square root of 196. Now, notice my, I'm flashing there. Well, yeah, my cursor is flashing, and it's still under the square root sign. If I press divide, it's still under the square root sign, so I need to delete that. I need to start again. Square root of 196. I need to press this arrow to get out of the square root, because in this question, square root of 196, and then I'm out of the square root, so you need to press that arrow across. Divide by 7, and then plus 8 squared, so 8 and the x squared button, okay, which is there, okay, equals 66. Make sure you cancel between each question. With the next one, cubed root of 343. I think you know where the cubed root button is now. 343. Now, you've got plus 6, but it's not under that sign, so you need to get out of it by pressing that white arrow. Then we go plus 6 and then times. You've got square root 361. If you want, you can press that white button to get out of the square root. Equals 121. And now for the last question, just making sure it looks exactly like that when you're done. You've got 4.2, you press your x squared button, okay, times, then we've got square root of 9. Now once you've done your square root of 9, please use your arrow to get out of the square root sign. Then we've got plus, we know where cubed root is, we press the second function button first, and then that, because it's sitting on top of here, cubed root of 8. And I need to get out of that square root again, so pressing that white arrow out of there, and then times 1.2. You have to find your x cubed button, and remember it was here on top here. Each calculator is different, you just have to look for it. So 1.2 cubed, and then we get equals this answer here, and you can change it to make it look like a decimal, 56.376. So we've got 56.376. Okay. And that's the end of that.